everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister.
And I'm Dr. Lauren Fitzgerald, and you're listening to The Made Fitz Show.
So for years, we have dedicated ourselves to giving others the tools to feel their absolute best through the power of health, fitness, and nutrition coaching, as well as both Western and functional medicine.
Each week on The Made Fitz Show, we're going to talk about everything from health trends, nutrition, topics like HRT and medical weight loss, self-care, wellness hacks, different workouts, fasting, our favorite recipes, and more.
We promise that The Made Fitz Show will be educational, entertaining, but most importantly, worth listening to each week. Now, with small, dedicated changes, you can live a healthier, more heart-filled life. We're excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are simple to adopt.
We are a certified nutritionist and a board-certified medical doctor who have a combination of over 50 years in the health and fitness world and are passionate about empowering others to take the leap and live their healthiest, happiest lives by using the tools we give in this podcast.
Hello, everybody. It is Melissa here for The Made Fitz Show. And once again, we don't have Dr. Lauren here because I made this interview before Dr. Lauren and I decided to become partners in this podcast, and she couldn't make it today. So I get the honor to interview our guest today. I know she would have a ton of questions for her as well, but this particular woman really interested me because she's not only huge in health and wellness, you know, she's a wife, a mother, but she's also an entrepreneur, and she has created a product that I think is very interesting. And I think you will find very interesting as well. And on top of that, she did it at certainly a very interesting time in her life. So she created this product called Vitaminis, which I think is the coolest name ever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we're going to get into that, but I also want to pick her brain as far as being the CEO of a company, because I know a lot of you are either CEOs of your own company right now, or you have that little spark in your brain of, could I do something like this? And I'm hoping to share with Miss Leslie Danford, who is our guest today. I actually tried to dabble in creating my own little product. It didn't work out so well. So that's probably one of the reasons why I'm very interested in how she did this, and she's been so successful with it. But I want you guys to know that she's a true force in the health and wellness scene. She's literally bringing a fresh and exciting vibe to everything that she touches. I'm ready to explore Leslie's colorful journey, her entrepreneurial magic, I know she has some, and her passion for helping us all live our healthiest, happiest lives. So let's go ahead and dive in. Miss Leslie, it's an honor to have you here today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
So I really want to start this podcast kind of like I always do. If you tell me a little bit about yourself, who are you, and your life, your passions, what got you to where you are today. If you can just start with that, I think that'll really help us kind of set the scene of where we're going to go from there on.
Yes. It's so funny because sometimes like, where should I start? But I think for me, it probably starts as a kid. So I grew up I was an only child for most of my young life, and my mom traveled for work, and my dad was a scientist, and he was in charge of meals. And so it was always like, look at your plate. Do you have a protein? Do you have veggie? Like, what components do you have? And honestly, I still think that's how I think of my nutrition today, which is sort of funny. And I'm not a foodie. So my husband makes fun of me. He's the foodie. I don't think about food that way. I think about it very much as like, what is it giving me? All the components for wellness. So that's just kind of always been the way I've approached it. And all of that was in my background. I ended up pursuing more of a traditional career. So I worked in management consulting, working for different consumer companies. Then I moved into working in the beverage industry. I was actually working for an alcoholic beverage company. And while I was at that role in that company, we saw a lot of research coming in about wellness trends, people wanting clean label and functional benefits and nutrition and convenience. And that all really resonated with my personal side of things. But I knew that, working in an alcohol company, we were never going to do any of that. So I would just kind of like write the ideas down and think like, oh, someone should do this. This is cool. Someone needs to do this. And I had always also not really loved supplements. I don't like pills. They make me nauseous. I took them when I was pregnant, but it was always a issue. And then gummies are so full of sugar. Don't love those either. So this is kind of like years going by. And then in 2019, I left the alcohol company and I joined a hotel company. And it was great. It was exciting. It was fun. But then, of course, 2020 was right around the corner. And so I had been at that job for about a year when the pandemic hit, and I got laid off along with pretty much everybody I was working with. The whole hotel business and obviously the whole industry went way down. And so I was thrown into like a stay-at-home mom role, basically, because my kids' daycare had shut down, the school had shut down. I had 3 boys at that time. My husband was still working remotely, but I had been laid off. And so all of a sudden it's like I'm making meals, I'm thinking about nutrition, and it kind of brought back to mind all the issues I had with trying to make sure everyone was getting the right nutrition, make sure our immune systems are strong, we're ready to face these pandemic germs going around, but it's hard to get that from, you know, dark green veggies and legumes and all those things. Still didn't love gummies and pills. And it all kind of came together for me during that time. I was like, and maybe it was also my beverage background, where I thought, okay, liquid and beverages is the way to best get your vitamins. Obviously, if you can't get them from Whole Foods. I didn't see anything like that in the market. And I had the time and the bandwidth to kind of tinker. So that's how it started. And I wish I could tell you it was like I took a leap. It was like, I'm going to start a company now, and this is what I'm going to do for the next several years. It really wasn't. It was more like, I'm just going to start experimenting over here and testing and see what happens. And then one thing led to another.
That's amazing. And you know, when you talk about this, and of course, my audience knows I'll go on and I'll check your social media and I'll check your website and all this stuff. Looking at this product, I mean, I instantly thought kind of like, oh my gosh, it's a healthy version of a 5-hour energy or something like that. Does it get compared?
100%.
Yeah.
You know, I don't hear that from other people much. I think when I hear from other people, they're often comparing us to those fresh juice shots, like the ginger shots and the turmeric shots. But I actually thought about 5-hour energy, and I thought to myself, how cool if in every, you know, convenience store, gas station, instead of grabbing this 5-hour energy, which is full of chemicals and crazy stuff, you just get a shot of vitamins. And like, you know, maybe you don't always take your vitamin pills, but it's right there. It's so convenient. So I love that you made that comparison, because that's what I was thinking of.
That's what I would love to see as well. Oh my gosh, so much so. My husband, like I told you before, that we were part-time in Texas and part-time in Mexico. And there's been a couple times that he's made that drive, and he tries to make it almost all the way through with maybe, you know, one stop for a little bit of sleep. And, you know, he always talks about how he grabs those things. And I'm like, no, please don't. I'd rather you sleep and take a little bit longer to have something like that. Oh, what a difference that would be. I'm trying to visualize you maybe in your kitchen with like a blender or something. So when you have an idea and you're kind of starting from scratch, what is can you kind of explain to us how that looked like you starting, especially having small children? Obviously, they're incredibly picky. And if something doesn't taste good, they're not going to, you know, there's nothing you can do to make a child eat something that they don't like. I mean, it's almost like those parents that do baby food, I guess. My daughter keeps saying when she has children that she's going to make her own baby food. I can't wait to watch that. Can't wait to watch that, because it is a lot of work and a lot of trial and error. So can you just kind of give us an idea of how that got started and the production process that it went into?
Yeah, it was probably a little different. I think like a lot of people think about the kitchen and that kind of thing, but with like a packaged product like this, it's hard. I mean, you can't really do that, especially when you're mixing in extra vitamins and fiber and things like that. It's a little bit more technical, I guess. So the way I actually first started was talking to friends and family. So I interviewed probably 50 people that I knew that I thought could be interested in something like this. And I interviewed them. And it's funny because a lot of them were friends or people I would normally chat with. And it was like, hey, we're not going to chat though. I'm going to interview you. And I had this document, and it asked a bunch of questions like, tell me what some of your nutritional challenges are. You know, what do you like about what's offered in the market? What do you think's missing? Like, do you read labels? And what do you look for? That kind of thing. So that's what I did first, which took a lot of time, but it was fun and it was free. So that was the starting point. And then that kind of led me down this road of the idea of Vitaminis. And once I had the idea and the vision, my vision was like, here's the characteristics I want, clean label, no added sugar, shelf stable. I did really want it to not need refrigeration for a variety of reasons, including being able to get it shipped to your house in e-commerce, as well as being able to put it in lunch boxes or purses or whatever. So I had like a number of characteristics, as well as here's the nutrients and like the vitamin profile that I think would be helpful, because a lot of the research I had done about immune system support said you need zinc and magnesium. And even when I looked at the multivitamins, they don't all have it. I think the multi I looked at had no magnesium and 10% zinc or something. So I had this kind of like vision, but then I did partner with a food scientist, beverage formulator, who could help me take that vision and turn it into something that would actually work, be shelf stable, be in a bottle, taste good. And we went back and forth on the flavor. But on that front, I did want, as part of my vision, I really wanted the nutrients to come from what the product is made out of. So it's like orange juice provides the vitamin C, and then there's a little bit more added, that kind of thing. But yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't something I could just kind of like whip up and test. It did require a little bit more of a leap to get it out there, but it was a small enough investment that I still told myself, okay, if this doesn't work out, it's fine. It's like, I'm going to try this. It's like a little bit more than just interviewing people, but it wasn't like this full 2 feet in leaping. It was like test, test, test.
And I love that, because you are also a mom. And so the family has to come first. And I'm here to tell the audience, when, she says that you have to have incredible patience, because like I mentioned in your introduction, a while back was like, I believe in intermittent fasting. I want people to wake up and not shove food down their face, and I don't want them to eat right before they go to bed. That's the extent of my love of intermittent fasting, but I do. And so I thought to myself, if I could create some sort of drink, like a powder drink that helps keep you energetic and give you the nutrition while you're fasting, what a great concept. Nobody has anything like that out there. Wow. I worked with a company for a while, and they sent me samples. They were absolutely horrible. And I'm kind of wondering, Leslie, if I hurt their feelings, because I was like, oh no, we're not even close. Because then I kind of got ghosted. Farther than that, or they maybe took the idea and they're running with it without me, because it really, was a good idea. We need, in today's busy world, something that is very nutrient dense, that's going to allow you to take on the go, take on an airplane, like you said, put in lunch boxes. I just had a mind-blown moment. What a wonderful thing for kids, to say, hey, I've got, all your goodies in here too, but promise me that you'll take your, your little vitamin shot for me. And the kids can make jokes every day that, they have a shot every day. What a convenient way to do that, because I do think that pills, for a lot of people, a lot of my clients have issues with that. And maybe even not just 1 or 2 pills, but when you get to the point of being on a protocol or something, and you've got those handful of pills. My dad, who's probably got every disease there is out there, bless his heart, takes a handful of pills every morning and every evening. And he loves juice, absolutely loves having his juice with his breakfast and stuff. He would really appreciate something like this. So just from someone who's tried to do what you accomplished, and somebody who's on the consumer side, I think it's very genius what you've come up with. If you'll share with the audience a little bit, the different kinds that you have, and why instead of a generic one, you've created, almost specialty shots.
Yes, and I didn't know that you had gone down that path. It's difficult. Oh my gosh. And I realized the way I described it sounds very straightforward. Like, oh, I had an idea, and then but it's not. And I honestly had to butt heads so many times with so many parties. And I'm just going to go on a little tangent here, but I realize now why a lot of the products that are out there in the marketplace are not clean label. They have artificial ingredients and sugar and this and that. A lot of that is baked into the way the industry works. So even when I had a vision and told the vision, what I got back sometimes would have like erythritol sweetener or, added sugar or whatever. And I'm tasting it. I'm like, oh, this is really sweet. And I'm looking, I'm like, wait a second, I thought we weren't going to do this. And so you go back and they're like, oh, you have to do that. You know, if you don't do that, no one's going to like it. And it just requires, as the founder, it requires a lot of like going back, which I think if you'd asked me before doing this, I would have just said, oh, that's just, you know, you just got to work hard. Just keep going back and work hard. But it's also a mental thing, because at some point you ask yourself like, well, maybe they're right. You know, maybe I do have to just do it this other way because this is so difficult. Who am I to think it should be done a different way? And it is like a very challenging mental state to continue to persist in something that you believe in without any positive validation whatsoever. And I mean, now I'm 2.5 years in and I do have some validation from customers and things like that. But in the early days, especially, even the people I interviewed, those 50 people, friends and family, were like, oh yeah, maybe that'll work. I don't know. You know, like you're not going to get anyone that's going to be like, yes, in the very beginning. So side note, it is a challenge, and it's easy now for me to look back and just describe it. But so many times along that journey, I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with the products, so we have 2 types right now, and I have a couple in my backlog, if you will. But the first one we launched was immune support. So it's vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium in orange pineapple juice. It has as much magnesium as 5 cups of spinach, and as
Wow.
much zinc as 4 avocados, and as much vitamin C as 3 oranges in orange pineapple juice, no added sugar. So it tastes like juice. This was the first one because it was during the pandemic period, and it's just what we needed at that time. And the second one, gut health. This one is a berry banana, and it has as much fiber as a cup of broccoli and as much probiotics as 2 cups of yogurt. So it's like a little berry shot. People take these straight with their breakfast. I have a lot of customers that put them in smoothies. And it's funny you mentioned about your dad and the people with a lot of pills. I did not think about that market when I launched the product. I had a bunch of little kids and it was like me and the kids. But as soon as I got into retail, that kind of retiree aged customer loves Vitaminis, because a lot of them even have trouble with chewing and swallowing gummies sometimes, or they just have what I call pill fatigue, which is like they're just done with pills. So yeah, it's been really exciting to kind of see the ways in which this idea that I had is actually having an impact even more than I expected it to.
Yeah, well, I mean, even just talking about magnesium, that in and of itself, it's never just one tiny pill. Magnesium, to get the amount that you need, is, bare minimum 2, if not 3 horse pills. And to take that every single day and to really see no end to that is a lot, especially for people that have that trouble with that, or if there's anything that wavers you in taking care of yourself, it's doing something that's unpleasant. And so to add something, and I like the idea of adding it into a smoothie or anything like that, or I assume you could even dilute it with water and just have, an essence of that berry flavor in a big thing of water. I think that's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. And actually, I just made a mocktail the other day. It was inspired by some TikTok, but I did cherry juice, an immune support, which has the magnesium, and then just like a splash of it could be like a LaCroix or something. And it's like a take on that sleepy girl mocktail, because the magnesium helps you sleep, the cherry juice, and it's just light and refreshing. But yeah, we have a whole recipe book of whether it's like popsicles, yogurts, smoothies, acai bowls, chia pudding, where you can kind of mix in juice with this added nutrition that really helps.
Yeah, for sure. So, being the boss lady and obviously wanting to hear how this has helped people, can you share any, whether they're through friends and family or through customers, success stories, because this is, for the immune system, and this is obviously for our gut health, which is at the
Yes,
which they're actually interconnected. So
they are.
not take both.
Totally. I love that you know that, because I don't feel like a lot of people understand that, but your gut is so connected to your immune system. And so I'm always like, yes, take them both. You've got the vitamins for your immune system, plus your gut health for your immune system as well. But, one thing that's been awesome, I knew that the products worked. I mean, the gut health in particular works quickly. Like if you have an issue like constipation or gas and bloating, it just kind of helps with that pretty quickly. So this one's easy to see right away. Immune support's a little tougher to experience right away because it is vitamins. So I knew that they worked and I knew what was in them. But one of the most gratifying things has been to see, like, for example, reviews on Amazon from complete strangers that say, you know, I have irritable bowel syndrome and I've been taking one gut health, you know, either before or after my evening meal, and it's really alleviated. I'm like, that's amazing. Like to see those testimonials. And I got a great video testimonial from a mom who had one sick person in the family and loaded up on immune support and basically did like a week of everybody taking it. No one else got sick. And that one person that was sick, you know, got well pretty soon. Now, is it directly related? I don't know, but you do know that vitamin C, zinc, and magnesium do help your body fight and protect themselves against germs. So if you're not getting it in your diet, it's a great way to kind of like, I guess, add some extra precautions. So yeah, there have been great stories. I read every review at Amazon. And if I know somebody or I have direct contact because they bought through my website, I'll often reach out. If they're a longtime customer, I'll reach out and ask them to share their stories of why they like it, how they use it, so that we can make that known to others too.
Yeah, and when you were mentioning specifically one of the, well, you mentioned both of them and the ingredients and where they get the ingredients from, like the, you know, the vitamin C from like the orange juice and stuff. I don't think very many people realize that there's our RDA, which people have to understand. RDA is literally just seriously the bare minimum to keep you from, you know, creating illness and disease. But you can go much higher. There's therapeutic levels that you can have of things like, you know, magnesium. If you are constipated, you can short-term increase that magnesium higher than what's the RDA, or vitamin C. I mean, back in the day when there was scurvy and stuff, the amount of vitamin C that they would give these sick patients was incredibly high. So you can do things at a therapeutic level. But when you mentioned having things like magnesium and especially zinc, I mean, who wants to eat oysters every day? I absolutely don't. Great source of zinc, but I'm not going to eat oysters any day, let alone every day. That supplementation is incredibly important, and not just like the multivitamin. There was no, you know, magnesium in the multivitamin that you were looking at, and zinc was very, very small. That's truly, most of the time when you're trying to fight a cold or keep from getting sick, that's really not enough. And so to add supplementation to that, I am such a huge fan of that. You know, I try to have yogurt all the time for my gut, but, you know, and you mentioned the probiotics for enough of I don't have 2 cups of yogurt every day. So having something like that, I tell people all the time that, do I really need a multivitamin? I see it as insurance. I always say you have car insurance, you have, you know, life insurance, you have some people don't have home insurance. You need health insurance, and health insurance is literally having these vitamins and minerals, these extra amounts of vitamins and minerals to help build up an immune system or to help keep your gut strong. So that's one of my biggest platforms. Is I know there's a lot of stuff out there, and try not to be suckered into things that. Here now I am, Leslie, getting off on a tangent, but I've had a lot of people lately asking me about specific products that the marketing is incredible. I don't want to say the products, but it's new. It's something that has been around since the dawn of time, but it's all of a sudden new, and people are having amazing effects from taking it. And I'm like, not really. There's not one thing that's going to have a huge impact on your health. But if you're consistent with something healthy, like this product, then you are going to see results in the long term, because you're giving your body exactly what it needs and enough of it. Little tiny trace amounts or getting it every once in a while will not have near the impact that something like having magnesium every day and zinc every day and vitamin C, and having those synergistically every single day is where you're going to see the huge impact. So something you start right now, your immune system next year, when cold season comes, you're going to be like, what the heck? You know, why am I not getting sick? My kids are sick. My best friend is sick. Why am I not getting sick? Because you built a strong immunity over time, taking something that gives you nutrients that help build that immunity.
I love how you think about supplements and vitamins. It's so true, because I think I've heard a few people say to me, oh, my doctor says I don't need vitamins. And I think what not everyone understands is, like, traditional doctors, their goal is to keep you alive. You know, like, if you're bleeding, they're going to stop the bleeding. If you have serious illness, they're going to give you a pill to fix it. they are not like thinking about anything preventive for the most part. I'm generalizing here, but they're not trained to think about preventive effects or building up your health and wellness over a year period, to your point, or the long term, or 5 years or 10 years. They're like fighting fires. And so I think when doctors say like you don't need vitamins, you just have to take that with a grain of salt. I've heard multiple people say that to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when it comes down to it, it's this, I'm sorry, this might trigger some people, but we spend money where we don't need to, you know. So maybe it's the store-bought coffee, or it's, you know, a 5-hour energy, you know, in the middle of the day or something. We spend money where we don't necessarily, we can cut back somewhere else if it is an added expense to add something like, you know, the Vitaminis, probiotics, magnesium, vitamin D, omegas, you know, all of those things. It's such a minute amount of money compared to the huge amount of gain that you can get from something like that. And I always think that you can find something, and even if you didn't need it, it's still good for you. It's still good for you, and absolutely isn't going to harm you. So I just think it's totally worth the insurance, and to give something an amount of time. Do you, Leslie, have any input on? So obviously this is something that, you know, you would just want to fit into your regimen, right? Like the gut health one. It's not something that you take for a month and then hopefully your gut is better, or, you know, the immune system you take for maybe 90 days and you're like, okay, your immune system should be nice and strong. It's something that you just fit into your life 360.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I think about it. And I get this question a lot. People are like, do I need to take it every day? And I think that's tough to say. I mean, if you want to, sure. But our best customers do a 12 pack of each every month. So that would be every 2 or 3 days. So a few times a week, you're working a shot in here or there. And it's funny, our average subscription length on our website is 15 months. So once people kind of get it, I know once people get in, they're keeping it going for over a year. And what I like about that is it's not too much, right? You know, those subscriptions where it's like you get it and then the next one comes and you've got a whole stockpile. Just being able to take a couple shots a week, it's not replacing anything major. It's just that insurance, a little bit extra here and there, whether it's like on your drive to work or your lunchbox another day or your smoothie the third day, keeps that enough variety that you're not going to completely burn out, and you can kind of keep going with it. We do have some customers that will buy a pack if they have an issue, like someone's sick, they buy immune, or if someone has gut problem, they buy gut. But I think what they find is because it is so easy and tasty, they're like, oh, this isn't bad. I'm gonna keep going with this.
Yeah, no, you know, it's something that I think of that would, for me, because I do travel a lot. Just a great thing to have. How many ounces is each one?
2.5. So you can take it on airplanes.
To put it on your carry-on, and to have that little shot, especially of immunity, for sure, when you travel, would be huge. Now I have kind of a tough question for you, but I walk this beautiful beach every single day, and I am picking up plastic and plastic bottle caps every single day. Is there any kind of the recycling, or that it's recycled material that helps people that are conscious about that kind of stuff feel better about the plastic that is used for the product?
Yes, it is recyclable. And this is another example. When I started the product, I thought, I'm gonna do things differently, right? I'm gonna have it in this like biodegradable, this and that. And this is again back to where I think I realize now the industry is built in a certain way, right? So if you want to make a shot, stable shot like this, you really don't have that many options. So it is recyclable. So for the near term, I ask everyone to just recycle it. Obviously don't just drop your stuff everywhere. But in the longer term, I would love to have Vitaminis be big enough to help change the industry. It's like it's at a certain scale, you can start to dictate packaging that's developed, innovations that happen. I actually had a conversation with a company that makes those biodegradable plastic forks that are made from corn. I don't know if you've seen those. But I had a conversation with them and I said, do you guys make a drink bottle? And they're like, no, we don't yet. And I thought to myself, okay, well, someday when I'm big enough, yeah, I'll be able to order enough that you guys can work on something like that. So it is not ideal. It's just one of the trade-offs for the near term. But I do think as consumers demand more from companies and companies demand more from suppliers, we are moving in a good direction.
Yeah. And I mean, I want you to understand that I totally get that because of me trying myself. And then on top of that, working with companies, you know, where they're doing their best to. Everything is, you know, recyclable, and you try your best to make it as to not have as much of the actual product as possible. But in the real world, none of us are immune from, you know, buying the bottled water or buying the, you know, the diet soda and stuff like that. So, you know, as long as we do our part in recycling. And I, you know, in the future, my brain goes to if, you know, you could, and I don't know if that's possible, maybe you could let me know, a big bottle, and then you can just kind of refill your little bottles to reuse them, you know, because that's what I try to do when I buy a bottled water or something. I try to reuse that bottle, you know, many times before I put it in the recycle bin. So at least I know that it got its shelf life from me for a long time. If that's a, you know, a possibility to be able to buy, you know, a nice big one and be able to, because I think the convenience of it all is, besides the very clean ingredients, I think the transportability, if that's such a word, is huge, because like we talked about just a second ago, that 5-hour energy and stuff that just sits there, how easy and convenient and lovely it is to grab it when you're, you know, on your lunch break, and you know, you're buying that slice of pizza from 7-Eleven because you're just really hungry and it's your only option. But to see something like your product there also is like, oh, well, at least, you know, I'm gonna, you know, get some goodness in me as well, because sometimes there is that balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So besides that, you had mentioned having maybe some things in the works. Is there any talks of when you know, plan to expand this, any other areas like you know, women's health, or, you know, you doing this, starting this business when you were 8 months pregnant, anything that's, you know, good for pregnancy or postpartum or anything like that? Where's your brain?
Yeah. So a few ideas. The most near-term innovation that I've been working on that's almost ready to go is a similar concept called Daily Greens that has vitamins A, D, folate, E, that you would get from leafy greens in a green fruit vegetable juice that tastes good, no added sugar, all the good things. That I developed based on feedback from my customers, just saying like, I wish there was something like this. And then longer term, I think the company could become a platform for lots of mini formats, whether they're mini shots, mini bites, mini bars that are whole food based and very clean, but deliver that extra nutrition and functionality. So that's kind of the long-term vision. And then from here to there, I think as new customer groups are coming to light for me, like we talked about retirees, another one that I've gotten a lot of interest from is like a perimenopausal, menopausal woman. I think they have particular needs, like such as brain health and cognitive function. They love some of our existing products, like the gut health for weight management, and then some of the zinc and magnesium in here for hormone regulation. But is there anything else we can do, like more specifically to serve that group? Because I think a lot of the people buying our products are dealing with those issues anyway. So it's like, that's something I'm always thinking about. And I'd love any thoughts, you know, from you or your audience too. Like, just reach out. I'm always interested in what people think, what they are looking for, what they're missing in their daily lives.
Yeah, I think right now, you hit the nail on the head with, you know, perimenopausal and menopausal women. And then on top of that, cortisol. You know, I
Yes.
watch the trends of health and wellness. And right now, the word to put on your social media is cortisol, which is very, very important because, you know, particularly us women, I think we do have chronic stress in our life. And so being able to help manage that cortisol is huge. And of course you could do something in a product like that. I am, my quote unquote children are 27 and 29, but I'm so curious as to how your children, because obviously you want them to take this, you created this for them, for your family. How do they do with it? Is it something, are they in schools? Is it something you do put in their lunch boxes? Is it something they have with breakfast? Is it a snack? How do your kids ingest these Vitaminis?
Yeah, I like to just keep them handy we have a little drink fridge. I like to keep them in there. They all know there should only have one of each per day. So it depends. Sometimes it's like after school, if there's no snack already made and they're just looking for something, we do put it in lunch boxes on occasion. We'll dump it in smoothies often. It's a whole variety of ways. I think the thing I've noticed with my kids, and I don't know if this applies to all kids, is the more I try to prescribe how they do something, the more they want to do it a different way. So I think just having it handy and knowing that they like it and that they can be kind of in charge of grabbing it whenever they want really works well, rather than me saying, okay, now you have to drink this at breakfast. Because if I did it that way, they would probably really resist.
Yeah. Can I ask you how old your kids are? And is there age limit for this product, or is it, safe for any age?
Yeah, so I have 4 kids. My boys are now 10, 8, and 7. And then I have a 2-year-old girl. So actually you mentioned this at the beginning, but I launched a company while I was launching the company, found out I was pregnant with my daughter. So there's a whole story about that. Although the 4th kid, by then you're like, okay, I know what I'm getting into. But yeah, so the labeling on the product for like the daily values is for ages 4 and up. So I generally say 4 and up, but I do let my 2-year-old have it. Sometimes I'll just let her have half of it, or I'll water it down with some juice or mix it into something, just because something like magnesium can upset your stomach if you get too much of it. But like the gut health, which is probiotics and fiber, that one's, especially if she was constipated or something, I'd totally let her have it. So it's a little bit of a judgment call, but I did design the products to be, nothing extreme in there. Like even the zinc and magnesium contents here of 30 and 50%, it's like if someone did have 2, or if a smaller, like a 2-year-old had one, it's not going to be dangerous. So 4 and up is the official answer, but
yeah, you as a mom get to decide. So excuse me, this is Leslie, I'm asking for a friend, but if you or somebody that you live with has bloating and flatulence issues, can you just share with us, in your expertise and all of your working with all of this to create this, any remedies that you've come up with to help with, what could be the causes and remedies to help better that situation?
Yes, it's such a complicated thing. Like the gut microbiome is so complicated and connected. Like even if you're stressed, like back to the cortisol point, you can actually cause yourself gut issues with stress. So there's so many different factors, but I developed the Vitaminis gut health with fiber and probiotics because those are kind of like 2 staples for your gut health. The microbiome eats fiber, like that's like its fuel. And then on the probiotic side, it's kind of like the more the merrier in that sense. There's all different strains of probiotics. The one that's in here is a spore-based strain, which means it's kind of like encapsulated in a spore. It works well for this product because you can make the product shelf stable and the probiotics survive. But the side benefit of that is it actually gets deeper into your gut because it's in this protective casing. So it can kind of like make it through your stomach and like deeper down. So that's just a couple of the things here. But the other thing that really works well is hydration, just like getting enough water. So that's always good. And I think the other thing I learned, actually, we had a summit called the Nourish and Flourish Summit last year, where we brought in a bunch of different experts and in different areas. And if we do it again, I'd love to have you on it. But one of our speakers in that summit talked about the importance for your gut of having a variety of fruits and vegetables in your diet. And she had a rule of 25 per day. And I find now I'm always thinking about that. And like a plant-based food could be, for example, cinnamon, because it's from bark of a tree. So just looking at your plate and your meals and thinking about how many plant-based foods, like if you have a bowl of chili, you can probably knock out 10 right there. But trying to get like a big variety, 25 different plant-based items in your diet, that really helps your gut because it's delivering different kinds of fiber and different food sources for your microbiome. And the other one I learned from that summit, it's one of those things where like you learn it and then you wish you didn't know, is that if you drink alcohol a lot, it actually kills your microbiome. And I'm like, oh, it's like I wish I didn't know that, but if you're drinking daily or every couple days, you could be canceling out a lot of the benefits from probiotics or different things you're doing. So something to keep in mind, that, you know, you want to keep that, you know, within a reasonable level, and just know that if you're having gut issues, taking a 30-day break or something could help with replenishing your gut.
So my audience knows, because I've talked about this on other podcasts. I made a reel about it. I practice what I preach. So I do have an idea for you, Leslie, and you would be my hero if you could come up with it. So I totally agree with Dr. Tim Spector talks about this a lot, having at least 25 fruits and vegetables in your diet a week. That's it's very expensive, and it's very difficult for people to do that, because we're talking different. People will eat the same things over and over again because, Costco shop, it's cheaper. They like it. They know how to cook it. But to come up with 25 different, colors to feed that gut microbiome. So there's a thing called, if you've not heard of it, it's called the microbiome mash. And so I went onto Whole Foods and I ended up buying 40 because girl didn't count. But anything that was organic and super healthy that I'm not going to eat. There's just some greens that I just don't like. There's some vegetables I've never heard of. So I went crazy. And so I had this huge countertop full of these beautiful organic vegetables, put them in my food processor, and made the best way to describe it is like a potpourri of all of these different vegetables. And so then you put them in, I learned a Ziploc bag is not a good idea because it, gets rock solid. So ice cube trays are a great idea. And then you freeze it. And I try to every day to take one of those ice cube trays and put it in a hot bone broth. And then I've got in that little tiny serving, I've got like 12 different mostly vegetables I wouldn't eat. And that's, kind of enough to help diversify the food for your microbiome. So long story short, to be able to create something that would, because it does not taste very good.
Yeah.
It's a labor of love. It's work to make it. It's, it's kind of expensive, but I know that is about as dense nutrition as you can get because it is whole food and stuff. If you could create, something that that is you can look it up on Google.
Yeah, that's great.
That gives you, just a whole plethora of whole food essence in something that would. And I've never tried to put it in because I made 3 different batches, and each batch obviously tastes completely different because it's different types of, some are mushrooms. There's root vegetables in there. There's lots of greens. It's crazy. All of the stuff that's in there, and each one tastes wildly different. Maybe there is one, that the actual vegetables aren't too sharp tasting or that bitter taste that you could put it in a juice of some sort, even a carrot juice or something. So, it still tastes vegetable-y, like a vegetable juice, but it's not, it's tough.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have to look that up. I have not heard about that, but it's funny because there are certain, I think, like vehicles where you can kind of sneak extra stuff in where you might be able to throw in your cubes. Like smoothies is always a good one, especially if you have a sweeter base. I always throw like a handful of spinach or kale in my smoothies. And it's funny, one of my kids he'll inspect, and he's like, I see green specks in there. I'm like, just eat it. Chilies, soups, marinara sauces, you can blend a lot of veggies in there. And yeah. So anyways, that's a great idea. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Really, truly is. And I believe an untapped market when it comes to that, to be able to, because we do have, you nailed it when it comes to what to do for the gut. You've nailed it for what to do for the immune system. The ingredients that you have are fantastic and very proven to be effective in helping people with that. But just for general wellness, and speaking of this, 5 Hour Energy should almost sponsor this, except I'm telling people not to drink it. You're going to get so much energy from all of, those nutrients, from all of those, plant-based foods that I can tell a difference when I've had it in my system for a while, because that added nutrition that I'm not getting elsewhere. So if you are a follower and you are, genuinely not a pill lover, you're not getting the diversity in your diet that you should, you need those probiotics, zinc, Leslie, I'm sure you know this, is so crucial to having a nice acidic hydrochloric acid. And it's very popular these days that people's hydrochloric acid isn't sufficient. And so when you don't have sufficient hydrochloric acid, you're not breaking down your food. And so especially protein is not getting broken down all the way, which causes a lot of disruption in how you feel. You do get the bloat and the gas. You're not breaking down that protein into your amino acids so that you can, use it to build beautiful hair and nails and skin and muscles. And zinc is really, really important in that. And like I said, nobody wants, well, I would say 80% of people don't want to eat oysters that often. There's other ways to get zinc, but oysters are the best way. You need to supplement and to do a very tasty little shot where you're getting a good amount of zinc every day will make it's such a chain reaction, such a huge difference in your gut and how you break down your foods and absorb your foods and use that absorption to help you. But without proper amounts of zinc, you're going to suffer there no matter, how hard you chew your food.
No, I love that. Yeah. So the immune support has as much zinc. I always say as much zinc as 4 avocados. So that's another source, although eating 4 avocados is a lot. So I don't think anyone's gonna be doing that. But that's so interesting. I did not know about the hydrochloric acid connection. I need to look into that. We have a great, actually for your listeners too, sign up for our email list because I'll often go down these rabbit hole tangents of like the benefits of the various ingredients that we have and what it does for you. And then we release those as blog posts and on our email. So I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole with the hydrochloric acid protein breakdown now after this.
Yeah. And protein right now is such a huge buzzword and everybody wants to, it's hard enough to eat the protein, to get the amount of protein that people are telling you to get 120, 130 grams a day. So you're eating it, but your body's not breaking it down into its usable source. Sucks. You're going to eat it. You want to be able to, to have it nourish your body and get it to do what it's supposed to do. And so it is really, really important. One of the things that we do is we test, for zinc. And I'm really surprised when I have people do any kind of a blood test, there's more people that are zinc deficient than I would think, because it is a micromineral. And so you're thinking, well, surely I'm getting enough in today's diet, with the soils being depleted, which we all hear, but also, just the lack of whole foods in general, we are missing a lot of really key nutrients, including zinc, that makes all the difference in the world. And
Yeah.
how and when you think zinc, you think cold, but it's also so important for protein absorption because of the whole gut matrix.
Yeah. So interesting. It's all connected.
Oh, it really, really is. You on your website, don't you have a test or something of that nature? A quiz?
No, I don't think so.
I thought maybe it was
should though.
It might be your new, yeah, you should. Maybe it was your newsletter, but I also saw on the website that your first order is 20% off, correct?
Yes. Drop your email. I will send you a coupon for 20% off. Would love to have you try the product and let me know what you think about it. Post and tag us, submit a review. We're also on Amazon. I know a lot of people love Amazon. So sometimes if you just search Vitaminis, it auto corrects to vitamins and you'll get some different results. So if you put in Vitaminis juice or Vitaminis shots, that usually does it. And if you're in the Midwest, we are at the Fresh Time and the Fruitful Yield in stores as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it's nice that you're on Amazon. That's incredibly convenient.
It's useful. I know I get everything on Amazon, so I don't judge. Get it wherever you want to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. We even here in Mexico, I don't even have a mailbox, but you can order Amazon and it goes to San Diego. And then there's a company here in Mexico that picks it up and brings it to San Jose, Del Cabo for a 20% surcharge.
Oh, gosh.
I can still get stuff here. It just takes a little while to get it, but it's possible. But I am a huge Amazon fan, and Leslie would actually really like to try it because I see this being something that my husband would love. Like he loves to wake up every morning to, if I would let him a huge glass of orange juice, whenever we travel, that's his. When we go to the buffet or something, that's the first thing he comes back with. Or when we're on an airplane, he gets, orange juice and stuff. I love orange juice, but he just gets, 32 ounces of it. That's a little much. 2.5 ounces is perfect. And to know that on top of that, he's getting some added health benefits to it is something that I think would be very, because he's not a pill taker.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm sorry I didn't get it to you before, but I will send it to you. And it's funny, my husband was doing like a low sugar keto type of diet, not like 100%, but he would crave orange juice and take a Vitaminis because it is only 2.5 ounces. It kind of like hits that craving, that sweetness, but without too much. So I totally resonate with that.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because, studies show that like, even when you have dessert, it's really just the first bite or two that you really are like, oh my gosh, that's so good. And then you kind of go into autopilot. I think the same thing is with, for people like my stepdad who love to have juice, it's really just those first couple of sips that you're like, oh, that tastes so good. And then you just kind of drink it and don't even think about it. So this is perfect. You're getting those couple of sips or couple of gulps, enjoying the flavor of the fruit juice with all the benefits that come with it, but not having this huge thing of juice, but just that small shot. So I really do think it's genius. And it was really nice
Thank
to
you.
very excited to try it. And would love to keep in touch, because I would love to see where you go with this. And honestly, in today's day and age, I think entrepreneurship, number one, is huge, and having a passion for something and continuing to evolve with it is just really fun to watch. And I think what you do is really important as well. Let's replace one day, Leslie, one day I'm going to walk into my 7-Eleven or my OXXO here, and I'm going to see your product, and I'm going to be like, she did it.
That would be amazing. Yes. Got to manifest it.
Yeah. So is there, besides, can you tell us specifically your website and, where you are on social media and stuff so people can easily find you?
Yes, Vitaminis brand. So the website's vitaminisbrand.com. Our handle on TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, Vitaminis brand. Please follow us. And yeah, like I said, let us know what you think. Like post, tag us, reach out. I'm behind most of the things. So if you reach out, you'll probably get to me, and I look forward to hearing from everybody.
Yeah, I'm glad. And I know I have a lot of moms on the podcast who will really, and wives, because husbands are really just children, that will really resonate with this and want to give this a go. So thank you so much, Leslie, for being on the podcast. That was really fun to talk to you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And as always, you guys, I hope you wake up feeling prepared and that you go to bed feeling proud. Have a great day. Wow, we've reached the end. But before we leave you, we'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to us, your opinion does matter.
Now, the content in this episode is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.
Share this episode with anyone you think needs to hear this message. And please remember to do your part of the bargain by rating, reviewing, and subscribing wherever you listen to the Made Fitz show.
We are Melissa and Dr. Fitz, and until next time, thank you for your time, support, and action you take in your own health journey. You get one life. Let's live it abundantly together.